In today's book summary, it mainly tries to solve one problem, is how does people stuck in short on money, lack of time, or overweight. Just like last time we tried to lose weight, we check all the nutrition labels, force ourselves to go to the gym. However, nothing coming back. It feels that the harder we try, the more weight we even gain. In the beginning, scientists thought they had the answer. For those people, their IQ is actually like average people. The parts that actually change is their fluid intelligence, which is under certain circumstances, like when you're mad or sad, your IQ starts dropping. It makes an average people IQ into borderline deficits kind of IQ. However, slowly people actually find emotional control is not the correct answer. Because for certain group of people, walk around with half brain, doing decision on borderline deficits IQ is constant. This group of people may be mothers, businessmen, or people with a loss of workload. So what's actually going on? The answer is this book title, Scarcity. Is they have a feeling of the lack of something. It's not actually because they lack of something materially. The author pay back the debt of the people who short on money. They give more time to people who need it. However, their situation is not yet changed. And then slowly, they fall back to before stage. Even you pay back their debts, either money or time. And in this book, the two authors, one of is professor from Harvard, one of the professor from Princeton, actually show how this kind of feeling of we lack of something capture our brain and cause a loss of issue. And like the subtitle, even define our life. It even make a PhD student in Harvard drop out of the topic they've been studying for 20 years to become a cook. How it happened is back to World War II. They tried to do an experiment to see what's the consequences of starvations. So they gathered lots of Ivy League students from PhD to do the experiment. When it ended, of course, physically they have some changes. The scary part is the mental changes of those PhD really smart people. A lot of them dropped out of their school, PhD in Ivy League school, to become a restaurant owner or a cook or a cookbook collectors, just because they feel they have the scars of food and calories. I don't know how you feel when you listen to this experiment, but I can recall so many people around me that because they graduated, they're busy to find a job, to stabilize their life with a family, a kid, they start turning to a different person because they always feel their shortage of time, shortage of brain cell, never get rested. And their life since then changes. This book will see through the fog and figure out what actually happening when we feel we lack something. The number one consequences is tunneling. You have a tunnel vision. You cannot think of anything but what you feel you lack of. And this tunnel vision sometimes can make people lose life. In firefighters, number one cause of death is not actually fire or other difficulty. It's actually because they don't put the seatbelt on. Every 4 of them pass away, 1 of them because they never put the seatbelt on. It's understand if you're the driver, but even the people who sit next to it, they don't even put the seatbelt on. After all the scientists go investigate, they realize they sink in scarcity. Because in their head, time is really precious. They need to put all the equipment on within 60 seconds. Every second means someone may die. So when they sink into the time tunnel, they never even have the thoughts that, oh, should I put a seatbelt on? No. It's not like they choose not to put seatbelt. It's putting a seatbelt on, it never even crossed their head. Even they understand number one death or dangers for me is seatbelt. When they're on the time crunch, they still not remember it. And this tunneling, it happens everywhere. This is the time you really ask your friend or whatever you care, how do you forget such an important thing? More specific, For example, lots of people, when you grow up out of college, you start gaining lots of weight. People blame on metabolism. In reality, your metabolism didn't decrease that much. What happened is you start focus on building a career. You start focus on have a good family. You start try to have your own life, get together. How much did you put in your mouth for food never even cross your head? People say, oh, whatever you put in your head is you can control it. But when you're on the scarcity mindset, or you feel your lack of career, your lack of family, those things you basically not even consider is a choice. Or when you're arguing with someone you care, at that moment, you tunneling on how can I win this argument and totally forget that you cherish this relationship way more than winning the argument. But what if you tell those people, focus on something that other than the scars? For example, your husband, really into business and build a career, and you pin him down today, say, you know what, today you stay with the family. You're gonna spend time with me and your kids. What will happen to him? The answer is he will be completely absent bit by bit. Like he's physically here, but his mental is not here. Because one of the magic for scarcity or for lack of something is it take your attention away without you even notice. It's like last time you spaced out, you don't really realize that you're spacing out. You're not doing the choice of spacing out. And in the same time, in your husband's head, even the room is really quiet. It's really loud in his head. The train of thoughts constantly passing by, constantly get him worried. Even you pin him down, he couldn't give you the quality time you're looking for. And the most important effect of the scarcity is how does it affect your brain? When you feel you are not pretty enough, you don't have enough good enough career, you need to find a wife. It influences your brain in the three ways. First, you have a lower cognitive capacity. In a mundane word is you will be short-sighted. Before you can see 10 steps ahead, now you only can see 2 steps ahead. Second way influence your brain is your fluid intelligence, which is what we mentioned in the beginning, your IQ start dropping. And the third way it may influence your brain is it lower your executive control. Try to imagine this person, right? He's short-sighted, borderline deficit IQ, can't execute, no dedication whatsoever. What do you think that person's life gonna be? It don't take much for you to become dumb just because you have a new job, just because you just graduated from college, just because you have a new kids, or busy between kids and families. And the scariest part is a lot of people is unrealized. They're sink in scarcity. Even the most talented people, big entrepreneurs, big musicians, artists, they also will get influenced by this way when they're in scarcity, regardless how great you are, how many skills you have. It's great that you have time management skills, financial educations, or tips how to have better willpowers. When you're tunneling, nothing even comes to your head. You will remember none of those. And it causes lots of misperceptions for people because they don't understand scarcity. For example, lots of boss or parents, they see their kids, workers, low patient. They have a low tolerance. They get mad easily, low attention span, and not dedicated at all. They will think that they're born with. That's their personality. That's their talent. That's something that cannot be changed. I'm gonna disown my kid because that's how they're born. In reality, they may just get captured by scarcity. Second misperception that people have, because they don't understand scarcity, is that people think you are stupid. That's just why you sink into such miserable place. right? Your decision was not good, you don't learn enough. But the reality is, those terrible situations make you stupid, make you don't want to execute, make you feel lose motivation and patience. So after we know all this misconception, lots of things become clear. Lots of people blame that I can't lose weight because I don't have patience. I'm not dedicated. You're not dedicated enough. And then you will go watch some dedication videos. Hope you get your motivation up. In reality, is the scientists find out the people who actually losing weight is a completely not depends on those. This is what author described. Think of this way. While losing weight, you are preoccupied and face a bandwidth tax. But if you are unable to settle into a new equilibrium and find yourself no longer need to restrain eating, then the bandwidth tax disappears. Which means when you find yourself no longer need to control and constantly think of, if I eat this right now, should I eat less later? You start having the control back. You start having the IQ that you're losing. So how do you know I'm in scarcity? How can I test myself? One of the ways to test it is, do you have a trade-off mindset? What do you mean? It feels like the people who are in scarcity feels like try to pack lots of stuff in a small suitcase. When you have a big enough suitcase, you can just toss it in. But when you have a tiny bit, you start thinking of, oh, if I put this in, that one needs to get out. If I eat McDonald's right now, later on I have to eat salad. This kind of trade-off mindset or tunneling, hyper-focus, is actually sometimes quite beneficial. It makes people who short on money better to answer those economic problems than economists from all big schools. They remember all the price difference in grocery store, how the cheese growing in the prices. They're more sensitive to inflations. However, in the end, even they have this advantage, they still in more worse off financial situations. You may ask, why? What happened to them? It's actually three things. First, for them, the cost of error is too high. For people who always playing catch-up game to pay back the debt, buying a leather jacket when he shouldn't do will kick him way further than people who have a plenty money in the hand. Second problem of those people, why they're still worth off, even then they're even better than economists, is that they hesitate. Every choice comes with a payoff. So they hesitate until the chances is slip away. Third reason why they're still terrible with life, cannot catching up, is actually because they put their mind, they think about stuff in the place that they shouldn't be. The egg increased $1 compared to last Thursday. You keep calculating how can I get the best prices. That part of bandwidth of your brain can actually utilize on how can I save more money, how do I educate my kids better. Because all these three reasoning, it answered the question in the beginning. Why does people stuck in certain problems? You think that's already bad enough. It causes problems, it limits your brain. The more worse situation for them is there's a drug for people who have scarcity. It's like doing cocaine for them, which is boring. In America right now, there's way more payday loan institute than McDonald's out there. And the majority of their customer is rolled over. It's basically like I open a credit card to pay back another credit card's debt. That's what they're doing with the payday loan. And that don't just happen on people who short on money. That happen even on people who are busy, short on times. You have to get this project done tonight because your company asked you to. And everything else you just neglected. Then finally you realize, oh my God, I didn't fill out my taxes for this year. Finally, your wife divorced with you because you don't spend enough time with the family. So whatever you are scarce for, you always borrow with a high rate. And it's almost subconscious. You can't resist it. So why does people keep borrowing? It's actually because when you're tunneling, future feels abstract. You don't really think the cost of borrowing is a big deal for you because you're so focused and engaged. And to mimic the situation, the two scientists even conduct an experiment. They invite people to answer some questions with time rich and time poor. Short time, long time to answer questions. And they find out that as long as they gave the borrowing option, people doing much worse, even they have more time. And if they give the rollover options, the time poor group, it's just busying pay back the initial debt they have in the beginning. And the most scary part of this experiment is not even the outcome of the behavior. It's the time poor and the time rich is randomly picked. It's just a flip a coin to decide who is poor, who's rich. Or in other words, regardless who you are, as long as you're in scarcity, you will be busy pay back your borrowing. And you can't resist to borrow.